Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the Council of Future Conflict. My name is Scott. I'm the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today we got episode 533. We're talking cartel wars and TRANTIFA attacks, amongst other things. Joe, how you doing?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. And before you ask, I did already share it out with another clever rhyme. So we're already in good shape.
Very, very good. Salute,
I,
salute to you, my Italian friend.
I visited one of the absolute treasures of the American National Park system, Glacier National Park, yesterday. We're going back today. I urge you, if you haven't been to a national park lately, get out there. Reclaim them because the folks who go there aren't exactly Americans. So get out there and reclaim them from the H-1B visa crowd. But we had a great time. I actually had a couple of mule deers walk literally right up to me, and they survived the encounter because there were so many witnesses around. I certainly could have stabbed one of them right in the throat, but there were witnesses. Oh yeah.
Now, hold on, because I was told they survived the encounter because you mysteriously found yourself upside down.
Yeah, it's something Twitter keeps doing. Like it tells me that my photo is upside down, so I spin it and then it's upside down. For those who are wondering, yeah, I took this video yesterday. There is still snow up there. The road just got opened on Tuesday because of the snow. And we saw mountain goats, we saw rams, we saw these guys. It was a good day all around. We got some family visiting from Michigan, so we're taking them around. CWSB, I left them in the car. I didn't have a copy in my pocket. I would have gave it to them. But it was actually a great trip. I haven't been there, even though I've lived here for almost a year now. But absolutely cool stuff. Good times. I recommend you go there if you're ever in Montana. Get out there and do it. I also went down the same spot where the deer are standing. These are mule deer. Everyone was sledding down the hill, so I just plopped down on my butt and went sledding down the hill. If you want to see that video, it'll be over on Facebook later, but it's not going to be a Twitter video.
You know, the Indian tourists there must have been like, "Wow, these are the skinniest cows." I'm sorry. Wow, these are the skinniest cows we've ever seen.
Yeah. No, seriously, man. We were up there on what is it, Hidden Lake Trail, and if you got up there and closed your eyes, you would have thought you were in the Himalayas because that's what it sounded like. But hey, it was all in fun. They were enjoying the national treasure like we were. So good times. Don't try the Hidden Lake Trail unless you are a very advanced hiker right now. It is it's still covered in snow and you can't see the trail. And you have to kind of plunge through the trail. And it's not so bad going up. Really sucks on the way down because you may inadvertently go skiing. So, and there are a couple of people out there that were in flip-flops. And I'm like, that's absolutely ludicrous. That's not only silly, it's actually dangerous, especially walking on open snow. So,
well, I'm surprised you didn't have your cargo shorts on, Joe. That way you can,
I thought about it, but alas, I did not.
Just for the meme,
Yeah.
All right. Watcher, how you doing this morning?
Relatively good, I guess. A lot of stuff in my life's going well. I'm not gonna lie though, man. I'm watching some of what's going on, and it's one thing to have told people for a long time and realize yourself that, hey guys, sorry, nation as we knew it is over. We need to do something else now. But it's a whole other thing to watch just political candidates run on the basis of ethno taxing or all these other. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm good. A little black pilled this morning.
Well, what's the egg update?
Oh, egg update's pretty good. So we got 3 yesterday that were laying in very odd places. 3 of them chose to find a weird corner of the yard under a bush. So
yeah,
I think we're lock them in this morning and then get an actual decent count of how many they're producing a day by leaving them no other place to lay them.
Well, that's probably the way to go. I tell you guys, there's a lot of weird and wild stuff going on in the world. So we're gonna, Joe, there's this cartel stuff is a great example of stuff that's happening that's very important, that's just as bad as it is anywhere else. It's just not getting hardly any freaking coverage. And this isn't like the Sahel not getting coverage. This is right next to America.
Yeah, you know what? For the last couple of weeks, we've had guys stop by the camp on their bikes, like mountain bikes, who are biking from Banff, Canada, all the way down into Mexico. And I'm like, are you sure that's a good idea? But they are.
Holy shit.
It's like a 2-month race, but they're all going to do it. I'm like, could y'all just maybe stop in Arizona just to make me feel better? But hey, whatever.
Yeah. All right.
If you guys don't want to go to old Mexico, have you heard of New Mexico?
Well, even New Mexico is pretty insufferable these days. Anyway, so we've got the cartel stuff we're going to talk about today, and it's just kind of interesting. Like it's funny how the algorithm cycles you away from various news stories, but then somehow you find your way back, and then you get a ton of content on that news story, and so like that was for me on the cartel. It just kind of had a interesting, awesome opportunity to flare up because the Iran that literally has fallen apart and turned into kumbaya all of a sudden, except for that one building that just decided to blow up this morning, I guess.
Sorry.
But Joe, that's internal dissent probably. That's. I wouldn't be surprised if the IRGC didn't take this opportunity to start collecting some scalps of their own within Iran.
Entirely possible.
But I don't know. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention with the kind of rumor that's going around on Twitter, at least. That basically the idea is this, right? That before the end of before we bombed Iran, Netanyahu agreed to this deal, which would essentially, and I guess this is something that they were working with the Arab countries as well. So America bombs Iran, they do a ceasefire. 2 weeks later, they do a ceasefire in Gaza, and then essentially they turn Gaza over to a coalition of Arab states that would take over the governance of Gaza independently and basically kick Hamas out. This would be part of a new round of signatories to the Abraham Accords, and then kumbaya, right? And and apparently one of them that's rumored to be is Syria. And so all of this is with a huge grain of salt. I don't know that it wraps everything up into a too nice of a bow. Joe, the Middle East is never nice and easy like that.
Aside from the death of Israel, I don't think you can get 5 Middle Eastern countries to agree on
anything. Exactly right.
So I doubt that. So
yeah, I press and doubt, but there's a part of me that is hopeful, right? And I would love to see nothing more than Trump be able to throw his hands up at the end of it and say, all right, I've done peace of the Middle East. Tell me I'm the greatest president ever now. That sounds like something he would do. Kaiser John for 20.
Not having gotten an agreement and force everyone then to accept his agreement.
Exactly right. Kaiser John for $20 says, happy Friday. Hey, for $20, I'll say happy any day of the week. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. And then Low Key LARP gifted 5 subs to Future Conflict. I don't think I can get a gift sub on my own account. Let's see. Because usually what ends up happening is if you don't have a gift, a membership, if you chat right after you chat, then it'll pop in. kind of like what happened with Seven Dusted. So Seven Dusted didn't have a membership. He chatted. He does the gifted membership, and then Seven Dusted gets the membership there. So low-key LARP, I guess the fact that my name will be the only one without a membership halo means that I'm special, I guess. Future conflict
right?
past. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the first one here. You know, since we're going to be talking south of the border, Joe, I figured we could warm up with this one. Not a surprise, this headline, if I'm honest. Colombia gangs lured children to join ranks via TikTok, UN warns. I mean, it's a brave new world, Joe.
It's a brave new world.
I mean, what's old is new. It messes with my OCD. I get your brother. All right. Armed groups post videos of weapons, cars, and parties on social media to depict perks of the lifestyle, say experts. Gangs in Colombia are increasingly recruiting children into their ranks, with a notable number coerced over TikTok, Facebook, and the United Nations has warned. Well, I think the UN probably is helping these gangs. Probably. I didn't say that out loud, did I? I guess. The UNHCR Human Rights Office, HHRO Human Rights Office in Colombia said it had verified 474 cases of recruitment using under 18s between 2022 and 2024, and that the situation was worsening in 2025 with 36 cases of children being recruited at school. The recruitment through social network platforms was of grave concern. It's horrific, toxic, and ugly. Illegal groups are using social media to lure girls and boys into their ranks, which is increasingly violence across the country and strengthening narco trafficking. Elizabeth Dickinson, an analysis with International Crisis Group, said that the first contact often comes over social media, with TikTok rife with videos posted by armed groups depicting the perks of the lifestyle. Posts show parties and clubs, designer clothes, and heavy weapons. Campbell said children are promised motorbikes, mobile phones, and money, with girls also offered cosmetic surgery. Oh, my gosh. Investigators from the Special Jurisdiction for Peace said such content spreads rapidly, with some receiving over 625,000 views. Campbell criticized social media companies for failing to properly tackle the problem. If children were being recruited into illegal groups in London or Silicon Valley, the social media companies would be putting huge resources into this.
I disagree.
Now, real quick, we've got a super chat over on Rumble. It's under the limit. However, I feel it's important.
All right. Squishy Hunter for $5 says, my father-in-law is listening. Please advise him to get the fuck out of the NYC ASAP. You know what is ironic? We actually have a story that speaks exactly to this topic. Yes. And I'll be honest with you. You know, we're kind of getting a little off topic here. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole yet. I hope, part of me, probably the masochistic sadist part of me, hopes that that they elect that guy as mayor.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Like there's the struggle between God, I don't ever want that to happen in America, and yeah, New Yorkers really need to get what they voted for good and hard.
Well, this is what I think is that if he does get elected, it will get people to the black pill much faster because that needs to happen in order for us to move forward. So
it's like your drunk cousin, right? He won't ever accept help until he hits rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
And then I gotta say, liberal America's got to hit rock bottom before they're ever gonna like kind of wake up and smell the coffee.
But on the topic of recruitment, China is using TikTok to recruit Marxist insurgents inside the U.S. So the premise that if it was happening in the West, we would stop it, that's not true.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we also had a 20 and then a 5 gifted subs as well.
Yeah, I already mentioned that.
Good deal.
I feel like you haven't been here, Watcher. You've been doing something.
No, I have, but I'm generally looking for other stuff to try and put on the screen as well.
All right. So I kind of want to call this story good, but I want to talk about, Joe. This is something that I think most Americans are kind of, I don't know that they're ready for, or they understand, or it's because it's so far outside of our concept of what is right and normal, is the idea of child soldiers, right? Anybody who's been around gang members or anything like that shouldn't be surprised by this, but places like Colombia, places like Africa, South America in general, these Marxist groups have used child soldiers going, way back. Is this a CJNG?
Yeah, it's just an interview. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what they're saying, but he's armed with some pretty heavy weaponry. Thought it made a good image.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they see, and they're like, "Wow, that's cool. That guy's tough. He looks elite. He looks like I feel like they might, if I join those guys, they'll take care of me, right? Because I'm poor and I don't have the nice things, and I want a cell phone, or I want all this, nice sneakers or a car or a motorbike or something like that." So these
they're calling for insurgency in that video.
They are. Yeah, they're literally calling, like, I don't speak much Spanish, but I understand friggin' guerrilla and innocence.
I will say that the guy running is a commie, but is he a Muslim first? I'm curious which one he is, because sometimes they're one, sometimes they're the other, and they're usually actually both. But they use it. But they cannot be reasoned with. Well, he can't be reasoned with. Sure. I mean, that guy is going to destroy New York, and his true believers will go right down. Well, let's wait and watch her and get into all this when we talk about the cartel stuff. But ultimately, most of the people in New York are just regular people who just have their heads in the sand. They're actually, shockingly, they think they're being a good person by not criticizing all the terrible things they see around them. They don't want to feel guilty about, oh, well, I've got so much, it's not right for me to criticize the behavior of these other people. That's the mindset. They've been pummeled over the head by all this woke propaganda for so long. They're too scared to say anything. Now, they deserve what they get, but hopefully they'll survive it long enough to be able to vote for somebody who actually will do something for them. Anyway, I just wanted to get back to the idea of child soldiers. Joe, this is something I think anytime you have a poor area, you're going to see this. This is the reason why the 16-year-olds are killing each other at record numbers in the poor areas of Chicago. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see this kind of thing come to America if we had any kind of significant stumble as a nation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think it has to do with poverty. That's part of it, I'm sure.
Well, that's part of it, right? You got to have some leverage to recruit these kids, and in places like Africa, it's done at a gunpoint.
Yeah, well, I'm more thinking of there's so many different contexts for child soldiers. Like we're funding child soldiers currently in Ukraine.
Yeah, and we actually encouraged it and cheered it on.
Correct.
Every time I put that issue in the Ukraine war, everyone's like, "But bro, your country's not being invaded." One, my country most certainly is being invaded, and two, being invaded or not has nothing to do with child soldiers at all.
Yeah, that's a choice that has its other factors.
Well, if you remember back before the war even started, kind of after 2014 and before 2021 or 2022 when the war started, you had these kind of like junior ROTC kind of programs on steroids inside Ukraine. Now, were they child soldiers? No, but they were absolutely training 14, 15, and 16-year-olds how to take care of business, up until right when the war started.
This next one's interesting.
You know, there's some talk in the chat about the big beautiful bill, right? Kevin Door's talking about it, and then there's a couple others. Here's the deal: Donald Trump has always maintained that we shouldn't have big bills. They should always be single issue bills. So the solution is kill the big beautiful bill and start over with single issue bills. It's the way it should be. It's the way it was intended. It's the way it's supposed to be.
Kevin Dorr for $5 says, side note, Senate GOP just let the Hearing Act and SBRs taken out of the big bill. They were letting Harry Reid appointee gut the bill, call your senator. Yeah, I wonder if that's part of that parliamentarian bullshit that was going on with the health, the Medicare, Medicaid cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Shade's helicopter tours for $5 over in Rumble says maybe not related. What are the chances that Iran attack plans FBI likely found at Mar-a-Lago when Biden went in were similar to this whole 12-day war or the whole current war altogether? I don't know anything about that. Do you guys?
I think that the odds are zero, and I think that maybe it's time to fix the dosage, to be honest.
Let's see. Peanut Shade's helicopter tours for $2. I'm getting at the globalists and the Democrats and the BB conspire to plant documents against Trump because he wouldn't play the neocon games. I don't know. I mean, that's too on the nose, and I'll be honest with you, the fact that nobody's making a big deal about it kind of goes against the usefulness of planting something like that in the first place.
Either that or it's part of his shotgun strategy, right? Like no one plan being likely to succeed. You just do all of them in the off chance one of them does.
Rowan Courts. Yeah. Let me post this up here because this is something I'm hoping. This is where I hope that we get this taken care of. It's the parliamentary bullshit. JD Vance can override what she took out. Yeah, that's true. He can. Because Thune basically said, I guess yesterday, that he was not gonna fire the parliamentarian or anything like that, and he can fire the parliamentarian. So why would you let an unelected Democrat just completely run roughshod over the bill?
Because Thune is literally the successor of the Uniparty on the Republican side.
Oh, I got you. I'm not asking that like I don't know. I'm asking that as a rhetorical question.
Oh, I know. I'm just filling in for chat who may not know who Thune is, because I would forgive anybody for not knowing who John Thune is.
Thune is a writer. This is true. All right. All right, let's move on to the next.
Yeah, I agree, but there's one to end this with. Why don't we fire the Harry Reid simps? Well, it's because Harry Reid constructed a vast political machine inside of Republican politics. Gee, it's almost like if you want to be able to fight those people, you have to do similar.
Yes. All right. This is Joe. I always wonder every time I see high-level kind of purges in the Chinese military. It always makes me wonder if it's kind of like, preparatory action.
Yeah, it's sort of a communist thing. What to do just before pop it into action? You do a purge of the non-performing guys and get them going. Yeah.
Xi Jinping removes top PLA general Mao Hua amid military crackdown. The removal of General Mao Hua from China's top military body marks another step in Xi Jinping's ongoing anti-corruption campaign targeting senior ranks in the PLA. What's been interesting was what he did, what that general did. General Hua was a senior figure responsible for enforcing political discipline in the armed forces. From the Central Military Commission, state media Xinhua reported on Friday. This removal appears to be part of the President Xi Jinping's campaign to root out corruption, tighten control over the top military ranks. The decision was made during the 16th session of the Standing Committee of the 14th National People's Congress. Okay, that is very PRC way of naming something. Which concluded in Beijing today. At the closing meeting, lawmakers also voted to adopt revised versions of the law on penalties for administration of public security and the law against unfair competition. I truly don't believe there are any laws in China. There's literally just what the Communist Party wants to do on that day of the week. The same session also... Yeah. The man with the gun writes the law. The same session also voted to remove Mao from his position as a member of the CMC. The Central Military Commission is the apex body that oversees the PLA, overseeing military operations and strategic planning. It consists of 6 members and led by President Xi. Mao had long seen as a trusted ally of Xi, played a key role in maintaining party loyalty within the armed forces. Mao had already been suspended from the CMC in 2024, reportedly under investigation for serious violations of discipline, a phrase used in the Communist Party to indicate corruption. He was also expelled from the parliament in April without any public explanation. Xi Jinping's military purge. In April, reports also emerged that Xi had dismissed General Wei Dong, vice chair of the CMC and PLA's second in command. The removal of He Weidong marked the most senior military sacking in China in decades, and the first time a uniformed CMC vice chair was removed since 1967. The past inquiries and crackdowns by the Chinese government have also seen dismissal of former ministers Wei Fengyi and Li Shangfu, both associated with the rocket force. The crackdown has not been limited to the military. Last year, Xi unexpectedly removed several other aides and ministers from office. Officials say the campaign is aimed at curbing corruption and reinforcing discipline within the PLA. However, critics argue it also serves to remove Xi's political rivals and consolidate power. You don't say. A strong man wants to consolidate power. If you're curious how they maintain power, this is how they do it.
Yep.
Joe, I mean, a lot of little things with China lately. We talked a little bit about this. I think was it earlier this week. I think with the South Korea tensions. We've seen renewed conflicts between them and the Philippines recently. Did you see the video of the tank boats everybody was kind of chuckling about over the last 2 days, I think?
No, I have not.
Basically, they're amphibious, armored vehicles that, they seem to be working well. I don't know. I don't know much about that. Actually, let me get.
Yeah, I got it. I just found it.
I mean, you drive Amtraks around in the water.
Yeah. So it's kind of like an Amtrak type of deal, except for, like I said, these are got bigger guns on them.
Now, Joe, I know that we used to have these and similar. Remind me again why we got rid of them.
I'm not even sure.
I thought we got rid of these because while they look very impressive in an unopposed drill, modern military arms make it so that basically anything that moves as slow as a tank has to move in the water is dead fucking meat.
Well, how does an AAV move any faster?
Yeah, I thought that's why we were leaning away from AAVs as well. I thought we were trying to do
that, which is sad because the Amtrak is one of the best vehicles we've ever had. But
yeah. I agree, and we still have them, but I thought those were now for like follow-on waves. I thought the first waves were all now supposed to be fast boats and these guys, LCACs.
Hovercraft LCACs.
Oh, I thought that they went with that product improved version, but hey, I'm not as in touch as I should be, I guess.
No, you probably have the better one on that than I do.
I think that I think that did the LAV have this kind of capability?
The LAV, yeah, I could swim.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks about like what we had with like this, especially this one here. That has more of an auto cannon type thing. But that looks like a fairly large caliber gun, which would be something that we don't really. That's not something we've used.
Let me see when the new Amtrak's going to come out.
No, we have some mortar carriers. We don't have any like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, I think further down in that there's the new version of the American whatever it is. It's down. If you just go down a little further, I think you'll see it in the thread. Yeah, right there. That's the new American one, I think.
So USMC Amtrak, the new one is being tested. Was just tested in spring this year. Oh, never mind. No, this got confused on what I was meaning.
I think it's a VP 784 or something.
Not the most elegant nomenclature I've ever heard, but hey, it means something, right?
7A1, it looks like. Yeah, the rest of it was completely right. Good job.
But
they were expected to be unit ready by 2024, but it looks like there's some delay in release because of production issues.
It says it's still current, so.
Anyway, so yeah, I thought I every time I see these little kind of sprinkled stories from China, I feel like something's coming. Now, for the most part, that hasn't necessarily been the case, but if China jumps someday, it's going to look something like a purge, and then a snap military exercise that turns into the actual invasion.
Ron, it's not fair when you make jokes that land so close to what I am almost positive is the actual military planner's idea.
Right?
It hurts me when you do this.
Yeah, the irony is that I don't think that's far off from from what they'd like to do.
Exactly what they do.
For the record, I want everyone to know that the AAV is ran by a Detroit diesel. Just throwing that out.
Nice. Very nice.
All right. Anything else on China, Xi, and his purges?
Well, just it is always a wonder if this is the one that's finally going to kick things off, and this is going to be, the push, because they've done that a bunch, right? Like we've actually covered it when they've replaced a general, and then all of a sudden they start pushing on the Indian border, or all kinds of various stuff like that. But the other side of this, though, is she is in a bit of a power struggle right now, from what I hear. Although it's a little bit hard to understand exactly where this new rising opposition power is getting power from, but there just are people disgruntled with Xi's rule inside the CCP. So there is a new faction rising to oppose him, and so it might be interesting if some of these purges had more to do with that sort of strategic play in just internal party politics.
Well, that's the interesting thing is that in order for the way Xi basically took power was he developed his own kind of his own faction balanced against the other side, but in a way that wasn't overtly threatening, allowed the other side to hang around for a couple of years once he took power, and then started chopping them off at the knees. But what he's doing, it looks like potentially either this guy was corrupt, or a guy like the number two guy and another member of that CMC were essentially probably working together, plotting, creating their own faction.
Well, right.
And
yeah, I don't know. Like to say that a Chinese official is corrupt is All of them are.
All commies are corrupt. You have to be corrupt in the first place to become a commie.
Exactly. It's just a matter of who are they enforcing it against.
Yeah. Rowan Court, that is just cruel and unusual. How I can't believe you would do that to me. Let me see if I can find his.
Ron says, well, it could have been jetpacks. Well, you're...
I want to open a Ukrainian Chinese fusion restaurant just so Scott has to try to read the menu. I mean,
it's actually hilarious.
I mean, got to lean into the meme, right? All right, let's move on to the next story. Now, Joe, this is kind of a touch up on one we reported on earlier. I think this is Monday when we talked about this. Offshoot of Syria's ruling HTS claims credit for Damascus church bombing. So remember we were all thinking it might have been ISIS and that potentially people were trying to point the finger at ISIS. On Sunday, a massive suicide bomb tore through the important Greek Orthodox church in Mar Elias in Damascus, killing 27 and wounding dozens more. The huge attack just added to the spate of sectarian violence across Syria, which undercuts the Islamist HTS government's claim to be protecting religious minorities. HTS was quick to blame ISIS. It's one of those thou dost protest too much, I think. They blame ISIS for the Mar Elias bombing. On Monday, announced the arrest of a number of ISIS associates who claimed they were involved, vowing to bring them to justice. Now that whole narrative seems in doubt. ISIS never took credit for the bombing, which, since it was the biggest attack in Damascus in a very long time, would be unusual oversight. Now another group, Sararia Ansar al-Sunnah, or SAAS, issued its own statement claiming credit for the attack. SSAS, which was said to be formed in February, went on to say the government's claim of arresting people involved in the attack was untrue, fabricated. The group is being presented as an ISIS splinter group by some reports, but in reality, it's substantially different. SAAS doesn't indeed have some ISIS defectors within it, according to reports, but it also has a substantial number of HTS defectors. Joe, I guess there's some of the Al-Qaeda guys that are pissed that Al-Qaeda stopped being Al-Qaeda and stopped doing Al-Qaeda kind of things.
Well, and it makes them look like they're doing something to go after the enemies they've always had, right?
Right.
In the eyes of the world, it makes them look like cool guys, but they've always hated these guys. They've always disliked each other ever since the split. So,
well, and the other thing that if I'm an official in the Trump administration, I'm thinking, why is HTS covering for these guys?
Yeah.
They very quickly they said, "Oh, this was ISIS. We've even captured people involved." If that was clearly a disinformation campaign. So why are you pushing the the best thing HTS could have done is basically said, "This isn't us. We're going to investigate it. Oh, by the way, we found it. They used to be our guys. So this shows that we're purging our ranks of people who aren't on with the new world order." You know what I mean? That would have been the way to go. But now, I don't know. Is Giuliani, is he part of this? Let's see.
Did Trey give you a drink today or something?
Me?
You slipped something in your drink? Anyway, carry on.
I don't get it.
Well, you're implying that Jelani is part of some grand conspiracy that doesn't actually exist.
No. What I'm saying is Jelani is like, he's a bad guy. Maybe he's connected to people doing bad things. Shocking. I know.
Sure. Let me offer what I think is probably the most likely take on this, which is when you have a culture in which the way you attain notoriety and manhood, unless you happen to have a whole lot of money, is to carry out and further the will of Allah in, shall we say, ways that cause a spectacle is what I'm trying to say. Perhaps when you no longer have them aligned behind your own vision, suddenly the young men in your country now become a liability as far as stability goes.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. All right. So SAS founder Abu Aisha Al-Shami was a HTS member, and he said he broke away and formed his own group because he perceived HTS being too soft on Shiites and other rejectionists. The HTS has undergone a massive reformation in its presentation in the media. The group was renamed as was a renamed Al-Qaeda affiliate that retains its deeply Salafist ideologies. While playing nice with religious minorities in Syria on paper, they've tended to turn a blind eye to attacks on them. Notably, the massacre of Alawites, where well over 1,300 Alawites were killed in March, many by security forces. Those killings continue to this day, and a promised investigation never seemed to go anywhere. Speaking of Alawites, SAS played a big part in those massacres as well. This group regularly brags of carrying out attacks on Alawites, Druze, Syrians, including what they called the Harvest of Ramadan, where they listed attacks and vandalism done during the holiday on the Alawite town of Kardaha. They would be behind the
Alawites, though, has less to do with religion and more to do with continuing the political purge.
Yeah, score settling, right?
That country since Assad's father. So,
let's see. They would be that they would be behind the Mar Elias attack is not out of the keeping with the way the group has operated in its brief existence. It provides a messaging problem for HTS, though, since the government has not done much about the SAS since it came into existence. The Orthodox Christian leader in Syria has also called out the Jilani regime.
As they should.
Yeah. Syrian Christian leader Patriarch John X. Yazigi issued a statement about the attack, criticizing the government for its inability to protect religious minorities, saying, "Condolences are not enough for us, that the government has a fundamental duty to protect all of its citizens." For now, though, that has begun and ended with blaming ISIS to justify ongoing operations against ISIS in the East. You know, Joe, what will be interesting is if Jilani decides to give these guys up, right? You know, if he serves them up on a platter, to the West in order to kind of show his bona fides, or does he basically say, "Oh, sorry, I need these guys for stuff I'm going to be doing in the future, so I'll say nice things to my Western allies, but I really won't do anything back home."
Yeah, it seems to be about right. I mean, he really is taking the bare minimum steps to make it look like they're doing something. Yeah. But in all reality, they're who they've always been, and they're not really doing anything all that different.
You know, Joe, I would love to be wrong about almost everything I worry about, but you and we seem to be batting 1,000 on this Jilani guy and where Syria is going. Yeah. I'm not. I pray to be wrong because I don't want these Christians in Syria to be massacred, but nobody's going to do anything about it if HTS decides to just kind of flip on them one day. And I don't know. I mean, I still have an open mind to the fact that Jilani might do like a heel flip to a face, but. I'm not. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying, if we're writing the fictional book of this, that would be one of the things that I would think about, because it would be actually shocking if he did it.
Right.
Anything else on Syria you guys want to talk about or engage on? No. Nothing. Or let's move on. Joe, what's happening with tactical-wisdom.com?
Not much.
That gas mask that you shared the link to, I thought that was pretty good look. It seemed like a good deal.
It is actually a good deal because it has a whole bunch of filters with it. You're going to need another filter, right? So it's a good thing there.
You had a bunch of good gear this morning, actually. Let's just go down. Let's just rattle down the list.
Good stuff on there. Hey, by the way, Amazon Prime Day is coming up. You also be watching for my lists, July 8th to the 11th. It's going to be.
I'm hyper tempted. I'm hyper tempted on this one, Joe. So explain to the audience what this is. But is this a? I noticed it's 2 cameras. Is one of those a backup camera?
Yeah. So it's a full-time rear recording camera, not just when you put it in reverse. So
yeah, it's not a backup camera, really.
No, it's just a full-time rear-end camera. So the key thing, though, if you buy this, is immediately disable 2 things on it: the onboard Wi-Fi, which broadcasts a signal, and disable the audio recording, because you don't want what you said right after an accident or during an incident necessarily recorded for posterity. But this is a great tool. I've had one for a really long time. It takes great video. It's a fantastic thing to have on hand as things get worse. But when I bought it, it was on sale for $149, and it was a good deal then. It's now only $89. I mean, you can't beat that. You need to be on it. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's some good stuff. Well, the thing about the mask that I just wanted to bring up, that it's good that it has a lot of extra canisters and filters, because if you're going to have a gas mask, you need to practice with it. And and ideally you need to find some training where you can actually put it on around some actual irritant agents, so you see how it actually performs. And you learn the do's and the don'ts about actually how to use a gas mask when somebody's trying to make you have a bad day.
Right on.
You know, I mean, it's the thing that most people don't realize is that it's, you know, tear gas doesn't just get in your nose, your mouth, and your eyes. It gets on your skin. It doesn't feel awesome. You know, it makes your skin burn, especially if you're sweating during the summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is less than awesome with getting all that stuff on you.
Whoa,
yeah.
Whoa, Joe.
Yeah.
Ooh, how much is that?
That's $600, but it's worth it, man.
What is it?
That's a 25-watt high power repeater.
And it comes with a vehicle plug, so you can plug it into your car, or you can be mobile with it, put it wherever you want, plug it into a battery source or whatever. It runs really well off of solar.
Yeah.
So, it's good stuff, man. Check that stuff
out. Yeah, the portable jump boxes are important. I think the most important thing is to show your wife how to actually use them, because
absolutely.
I recently saw a video where a woman didn't use it right, and the cables got set on fire. Yeah, you want to make sure you do that right. All right, let me let's do the next brushbeater.store ad, shall we? All right, so we're diving into the brutal cartel wars and Antifa's terror attacks. Hold on a second. Excuse me. And we're proud to bring in another ad from our trusted sponsor, the Brush Beater Store, arming you for a dangerous war. Mexican cartel wars are spilling chaos. Gunmen from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, massacred 12 at Guanajuato religious festival on June 26, 2025, while CJNG and Sinaloa's drone attacks in Chiapas kill soldiers and civilians alike. Up north, Antifa's escalating with a Portland leftist arrested on June 14th for trying to bomb Interstate I-5 during the No Kings protest, aiming to sow terror. Cartels and radicals both use drones and encrypted comms to strike fast. At brushbeater.store, you can counter these threats. The handheld drone detection system, battle test in Ukraine, spot CJNG-style Mavic drones before they hit, keeping your team safe. Level 3A ballistic helmet, trusted by NC Scout, protects against shrapnel or bricks in a riot zone. The 2025 Small Unit Tactics Course trains you to outmaneuver threats like Antifa mobs with classes in North Carolina, Missouri, and Montana, and more. Check out brushbeater.store/collections/drone-detection or collections/training-courses to gear up now. Use exclusive code CFC10 at checkout for 5% off drone detectors, helmets, training, or any gear like radios or optics. Orders over $100 shipped for free. Visit brushbeater.store and prep for the fight. A huge thanks to my friend Matt, the owner, for his relentless support to the Council on Future Conflict and our community. Head to brushbeater.store, use code CFC10, and stand ready against cartels and radicals. Now let's get back into the show.
If I may make a brief recommendation, it's currently sold out, but you need to go get yourself on the email list for this item if you have a tiny essay. These are fantastic. Vigilante Engineering did a great job when they put this one together. Comes with multiple different screens, screen protectors so that you got your red filters so that you don't screw your night vision up. It's awesome. Go get it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I have one of those on mine, and I drop things a lot. You don't want to drop your tiny essay and have it suddenly not work. So yeah, that's pretty good.
It's kind of delicate.
All right. We're going to talk about the cartel, guys. It's been a while. Joe, it seems like I remember like when we started kind of getting a little bit away from Ukraine in the early days of the show, the cartel was like one of the areas where I felt like we were literally talking about the cartel like every week, maybe every other week. And because there was a lot going on with the cartel. And, you know, we had all the border activity at the time. So it was kind of happy hunting grounds for the cartel as human traffickers and whatnot. But here recently, they've suffered some losses in leadership, especially the Sinaloa cartel. So we've seen some internal struggle going on. Just what's your impression of that threat? You know, there was some talk at the beginning of the Trump administration that he may do direct action with military in the region. There were reports of drone overflights and things like that. What's your assessment of where we're at with the cartels and what's going on there?
Okay, so man, that was a very complex question. So I'm gonna try to break it down as best I can.
Yeah,
I think that our eyes were on it a lot more because of the unchecked nature of the border, and most people feel that solving the border solved that problem. It didn't. It's still there, and I think that the whole thing was overcome by world events. Right, there was a lot more going on, and we kind of just assumed that since we have pretty much closed our border, we're good to go now. And that's not true. It just became a Mexican national news story rather than an international news story. Yeah. And just like Caravaggio asks in the chat, is it time to rewatch Sicario? Yes, you should always be watching the documentary Sicario every time the border is solved. But more importantly, in light of the Iran events, you should watch the second one. Where the guys walk in and blow themselves up in supermarkets because they snuck in across the border.
Yeah.
Real good stuff. You really need to understand that this problem has not gone away. Come visit Bozeman, Montana, and tell me that the problem of Mexican and Venezuelan street crime is not a problem in the U.S. Because it is. These guys are beginning to act more and more like nation states. Before this, we saw a recruiting video before the show started where they're actually talking about overthrowing the government of Mexico. And if the CJNG does that, we are in for an incredibly bad time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. All right, let's get into this story. This first story here: 11 people killed in mass shooting at religious festival in Mexico City. This is what I mentioned this in the Brush Beater store ad. Plagued by Mexico City, plagued by cartel turf wars. Yeah, I think that a lot of what we've been seeing lately, Joe, I think we can, it's less about overt threats to the U.S. and more about the kind of indirect threats to the U.S. that are posed by these internal kind of conflicts that are going on either within individual cartels or between different cartels. Gunmen killed 11 people and injured at least 20 in an attack during a religious festival in central Mexico City plagued by cartel violence. It's almost like they're losing control of like one of the last places that the Mexican government is supposed to control. Shocking.
Right. It's crazy.
Well, I wonder what all those people from LA who decide to move down to Mexico City because it's cheap are thinking now that they had something like this happen. Bloodstains were seen on the ground and bullet holes were in the wall following the shooting Tuesday night. Let's see. During celebrations marking the nativity of John the Baptist, it was chaos. People put the wounded into their cars and rushed to a hospital to try to save them. A witness told AFP, asking not to be named due to safety concerns. A 17-year-old woman was amongst those killed, along with 8 adult men and 2 women. The state prosecutor's office said, vowing the crime would not go unpunished. Security forces were searching for the perpetrators of the cowardly act, while officials were providing psychological support to those affected. The municipal government said in a statement, President Claudia Sheinbaum condemned the shooting as deplorable. Yes, deplorable. Added that authorities had launched an investigation. Speaking at her daily news conference, Sheinbaum described the incident as a confrontation without giving details about the circumstances or the victims. Confrontation, Joe. That is kind of like running along the lines of some of the doublespeak that we hear, like, car kills, people in crowd at Christmas fair, the car did it. It was an accident. Sure. Let's see. So that area is a thriving industrial hub and home to several popular tourist destinations. Also one of Mexico's deadliest state due to gang turf wars, according to homicide statistics. Criminal violence, most of it linked to drug trafficking, has claimed around 480,000 lives in Mexico since 2006 and left more than 120,000 people missing. Those people aren't missing. They are gone. Much of the violence is linked to conflict between the Santa Rosa de Lima gang and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most powerful in Latin America. Let's see. Of course, the CJNG was one of the several that were designated as foreign terrorist organizations by the Trump administration. The bloodshed has continued this year. Last month, investigators found 17 bodies in an abandoned house in the state. Just days before that, officials said gunmen opened fire and killed 7 people, including children, in the same state. The officers found 2 banners with messages alluding to the Santa Rosa de Lima gang. In February, 5 women, 3 men were shot dead in a street. The month before that, security forces clashed with gunmen in the state, leaving 10 suspected criminals dead. This is just, I hate to say it, but this is just to remind you of the daily horror that is going on, not too far from the borders of our,
And let's be honest, some of it's going on inside the U.S. It's just not getting reported as such.
Right. That's exactly right. I mean,
a lot of the mass shooting or active shooters you have at a mall is actually cartel on cartel violence. This guy's gotten a shootout, right? So,
it's almost like old Scheinbaum's not keeping keeping people in order. It's almost like she doesn't know what she's doing.
What?
Well, I mean, look at this next story, and you be the judge, Joe. Mexican government rushes to defend cartel-linked banks targeted for sanctions by U.S. Treasury. Wait, don't sanction those banks, but they're cartel banks. But that's where we put our money, our dirty money too. You know, I mean, everybody launders money through those banks, so you can't. If
everyone does.
Mexico's government is rushing to the aid of two Mexican-based banks and a brokerage firm that the U.S. Department of Treasury is accused of working with various cartels to launder money, helping them move money to China to pay for fentanyl precursors. Mexican officials question the validity of the Treasury Department sanctions, stating that the claims lack sufficient evidence to support the allegations. You know, Joe, I'm not a huge fan of the U.S. government and all that, but one of the ones that I think could probably trace it, what they're looking for is the Treasury Department, especially if it's money that they want to know where it's gone in the world. I get the feeling this is probably straight up, and probably well documented too.
Yeah.
In a prepared statement issued this week, Mexico's Secretary of Treasury and Public Credit claimed that as soon as the U.S. Treasury notified them of the actions against three Mexican financial institutions, they requested proof of such actions. Mexican officials claimed in their statement that they had found no evidence of criminal action by the financial institutions, despite allegations brought forth by the U.S. authorities. The SHCP claimed that the information provided by the U.S. Treasury only dealt with a few transfers between the Mexican institutions and legally constituted Chinese companies. Mexican officials claimed that the transfers were no different than the thousands of others done between Mexican financial institutions and China through legitimate commerce. The SHCP claimed that a review by Mexico's National Banking Securities Commission only revealed administrative faults and with no evidence of criminal behavior. Of course, the Mexicans didn't find any criminal evidence, in the places they looked, because that's where all the politicians' dirty money is. The statement by Mexican officials comes as the country continues to deal with a dark cloud of corruption and a long history of protecting drug cartels. At the start of the Trump administration, the White House singled out Mexico's government from having an intolerable relationship with drug cartels. I freaking buy that. I think this is dirty money. Guys, you wanna weigh in on this?
I think that the money laundering thing is just silly because everyone launders money everywhere in the banking. I've never been a fan of pursuing banking because those tools have been used against people lawfully exercising their U.S. rights. I think that a better way to handle them is to deal with their military equipment they have just sitting around because the Mexican government can't. I think a sustained bombing campaign might solve that problem, because CJNG is better equipped than most state National Guard units. Yeah. And they have some legitimate guys doing some legitimate work. And I don't mean legitimate as in legal. I mean, they've got some real actual hitters that do some work for them.
Well, we're going to look at some of their capabilities here in a minute, just to kind of remind folks what the hell's going on down there. Guy Vermectin for $10 said, anyone got the DL on recent reports that cartels plan to cause 14 million deaths in the U.S.? Are the reports BS? I remember hearing something about that. But
let me say a couple of things. If you think the cartels haven't already caused millions of deaths through the products that they sell here, I got bad news for you, because they have. And I have not heard this, and I don't know that they want to kill off their source of income, right?
I would say that this is like if you take the whole, what do you call them? The brown berets. If you take them and extrapolate what they're saying they want to do, that's probably accurate.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of that active plan.
Let's remember that the cartels are actually the voice and the strength behind the modern Reconquista movement. And I don't mean Reconquista as Wardall puts it. I mean Reconquista as in La Raza. So perhaps in that regard, they might be willing to cause that many deaths. But I think they would rather just push us away than kill everyone because we are a good source of income for them.
I mean, I remember hearing some stuff. I think it was around the time, Joe, that there was rumors of a possible U.S. action against Mexican cartels, that there were some, and I don't know where these things came from, so I don't want to discount them completely, but Joe makes a great point. They were killing over 100,000 people every year just from the fentanyl derivative stuff.
Every police officer in America to carry Narcan because of what they do.
Yeah.
Right? And first of all, I say stop carrying Narcan. Let natural selection take its course. But and I don't mean to sound callous on that, but when I know police officers who use Narcan on the same individual like 5 times, you are literally just delaying the inevitable. Let it happen. There'll be a lot less pain and heartache than, letting that dude just go. But anyway, I think that here's the biggest problem for me in all of this. And I think, Scott, you'll probably agree with me, is we were all anti-war with Iran. I mean, I get it. Iran needs to be schwacked, but we were all against another Middle East war. Everyone was behind a war against the cartels. And instead, we got the bait and switch. We were all geared up for a war on the cartels, and we thought that was a good thing. And what we got instead was the same old war we've always had, money-making war in the Middle East. I think that the reason why we shifted is there's no money in a war against the cartels for the big contractors. You're not going to be building bases in Mexico. You're not going to be running food service for U.S. troops all over Mexico, but you might in Iran. So...
Well, I think you got a good point. I mean, I hate to say it, Joe. I think a war against the cartels would be very popular.
It would.
I think it would also. I think that where Iran has not responded asymmetrically against U.S. populace yet, it's not to say that they couldn't still do this. I guarantee the Mexican government, the Mexican cartels would. Absolutely, 100%. They will kill, maim, and destroy as many people in a spiteful way too, right? Despite the fact that they know it will never do them any good.
I want to correct one thing here. Guy Vermectin, although you're on the right track, war with the cartels is essentially a war in Mexico. Understand that Mexico does not exist. Outside of the Distrito Federal, Mexico City, Mexico does not exist as an entity. The individual Mexican states do. The Estados Unidos de Mexico, the states exist, but they're not even a functioning government in their own areas. Outside of Mexico City, you have the cartels. They are the law.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple other cities that have a very large military presence where they don't hold sway the same way, but
that's the local military leader who's in charge. It is not the Mexican government. That's why you see like the Mexican Army and Mexican Air Force don't do anything, but the Mexican Marines do, because they're exerting local control in the areas where they exist.
Well, yeah, I think that's a great point, Joe. To the extent that local, I hate to call them warlords, but the local warlord has allegiance to Scheinbaum or whoever is in the, that's it. That's the only control they have in those areas. So, yeah. I mean,
and Hunch's $5 nails the real problem right on the head.
So this is over in the Rumble chat. Hunch the Dirty Roofer for $5 says, also a war with the cartels would interrupt the behind the scenes money flow in the pockets of numerous politicians. Yeah, I think that you're right about that.
Bob Menendez unavailable for comment.
Right.
And it also would interrupt Hunch's flow of BBLs into his market stream. And if you don't know what a BBL is, ask Hunch and he'll just tell you.
All right. Let's go to the next one. So this is Insight Crime. I thought this was a pretty interesting. This is a story from May, but it kind of gets into a little more in the nitty gritty. The Sinaloa cartel war rages on. An economy bleeds dry in Culiacan, Mexico. One morning in September 2024, Ana Rosa Sanchez arrived early to begin her morning routine at a seafood restaurant in Altata, a small fishing village in the Pacific Coast state of Sinaloa. But as she waited her first clients, her phone started buzzing. Culiacan had erupted into chaos with reports of gunfights, killings, and arson attacks. Without thinking twice, she closed the metal doors of the restaurant, locked them shut, and wouldn't open again for 4 months. Altata is located just about 40 minutes west of Culiacan, the capital city of Sinaloa. For years, it had been a favorite destination for locals to spend a weekend enjoying the beach, eating fresh seafood, and listening to the state's famous banda-style music. But the sense of calm vanished starting September 9th, 2024, the date that many in Sinaloa have marked as the unofficial beginning of the internal war between the Chapitos and the Mayaza, the two most powerful factions of the Sinaloa cartel. So basically, I guess it's going to explain this here in the story. The fighting began after the controversial arrest of famed capo Ismael Garcia, or El Mayo. He is centered around the Culiacan, the Sinaloa cartel's historic operational base, but it's only a matter of days before intensity of the clashes cleared out nearby towns like Altata and paralyzed a large part of the economic activity in the area. I'm very adventurous and I'm not afraid of anything, but this scares me, Sanchez told Insight Crime, which did not have any other customers inside. After 8 months of relentless fighting, the situation has shown no signs of improving, with almost daily displays of extreme violence. Culiacan has surrounded villages like Altata are confronting historic economic loss and massive financial gap is due in no small part to this loss of the illicit drug trafficking money. Now, Joe, I think this is probably the most illustrative thing that we've seen all day that just shows exactly what we were talking about, that outside of Mexico City, there is no one to keep you safe. There is no one to stop this kind of thing from happening, right, unless you literally get the federales on your block. But as soon as they leave your block, then it's free game again.
And you know what? The federales have agreements with these. Every time that if you remember back in the early days of this show, we covered several mini insurgencies in Mexico. When the federales went off the reservation, the cartels declared absolute war on them. And within a week, every single time, the federal government capitulated and surrendered to the cartels, giving them back the people they captured or giving back whatever territory and buildings they captured in favor of letting the violence subside a little bit. So saying the federales come on the block, the federales don't move at this point without permission from the cartels. I mean, that's just a fact of life in Mexico.
Yeah. No, that's spot on.
How many times have we seen them get ambushed? Right?
Yeah. Since September, there hasn't been a single day where we've had more than 10% occupancy, she says. Said the receptionist at a 3-star hotel attached to the popular shopping center in the center of Culiacan. People don't come here anymore, not for tourism or business. At least 350 restaurants have been forced to close, according to a local restaurant owner and member of the National Restaurant Industry Chamber. An untold number of other informal businesses like street food stalls have also closed down. The restaurants have managed to stay open, have also been forced to close early, let go staff, and look for new ways to keep themselves afloat, such as offering breakfast. Staff members have also seen their tips fall dramatically. This narco pandemic is the most brutal thing we've ever lived through. Tinayama asked, as it's worse than COVID-19 pandemic. Small, medium-sized businesses were next to collapse. The city is filled with shuttered and vacant buildings that once housed convenient clothing, tech, stationery stores. Recently, one pharmacy chain announced it was closing 40 locations just in Culiacan. There's no official data on the number of jobs lost due to the Sinaloa cartel conflict. However, experts like Ibarra and Martha Reyes, the president of Mexican Employers Confederation in Sinaloa, estimates that between 12,000 and 14,000 jobs were lost between September and April of 2025. What's more, the conflict has halted any possibility of generating new economic opportunities. Culiacan created 591 less formal jobs in 2024 compared to 2023, according to the data from the Mexican Social Security Institute. And in just the first 3 months of 2025, there were 6,600 fewer jobs than there were during the same time of the year last year. So it kind of they go on to talk about the narco economy and all this kind of stuff, and some things that they could do to change this. But I just thought this was interesting because this kind of shows you the impact that these kind of things have. Joe, does this sound like something that we could experience in America? Like this is what reality would look like during some sort of a collapse where all business basically just ends. You know, the security situation may not be like gunfights in the streets, but because you never know if there's going to be a gunfight in the street, nobody's going to risk it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing goes on in Mexico without their consent, and we need to stop acting like it's different. I mean, there's discussion in the chat about what that would mean for life on the streets in America. I got bad news for you. That's already happening. Sure, it would get worse. But sometimes you have to do the difficult thing, right? Sometimes the hard stuff has to happen. I don't know, man. I don't get it.
I mean, yeah. So I think the key there is that this is the long-term effects of when terror actually goes unchecked in the city streets. And I bet you're already seeing this kind of stuff in places like Portland, you know, in places like Seattle, where you have this Marxist terror campaigns that just go unchecked. And unanswered by the local and state governments in those areas. Let's move on to we got some video shows some of the some of the assets and the things that are that the cartel uses. Joe, I thought this might be good to kind of assess, because if it's in Mexico today, it can be in America 6 months from now. I think that's a good way to kind of think of this. Yeah, let's do the map first. Good call, Watcher. All right, so here's a map. You know, we keep talking about these cartels and stuff. So the Sinaloa cartels, that's the one in the middle in the blue. That's the old kind of, that and the Gulf cartel are kind of old daddy cartels. Juarez cartels, another old cartel. La Familia Michoacan is not as old as those, but it's been around many years. And CJNG is, I want to say that popped up around the late 2000s, early 2010s, I think, following the kind of the collapse of the Zetas. The Zetas, I can't remember how they fit into this whole thing now, but at one point the Zetas was a competing cartel, but they kind of collapsed. So this shows you go ahead.
So the Zetas were at one point a military
cartel.
Well, no, they were at one point a military unit that were trained by U.S. Special Forces for the Mexican Army, and then
it wasn't a military unit. It was guys who had been trained by U.S. They were, I want to say light infantry or something like that. And basically they got a better deal, right? And so they started recruiting their old buddies and
for
other
the Gulf
people.
Cartel.
And they worked for the Gulf Cartel.
And then,
but eventually they split off from
the Gulf Cartel went down. Yeah.
Yeah, they split off from the Gulf Cartel and made their own name, and then basically spun out of control and lost the plot. They are still around I think there's kind of two former Zeta groups that kind of maintain the moniker, but they more work for other people and have smaller amounts of territory rather than.
But they're the ones who did stuff like establish the radio repeater-based cell phone network and a bunch of other stuff that all of the cartels now rely on.
Yeah, they were pretty technical back in the maybe it was the late 90s was when I can't remember. Anyway, they were pretty technical before it was. But you can see where these on the maps where the different cartels overlap, and so that kind of gives you, if you look how CJNG, really outside of the main Sinaloa, area, they overlap. They don't overlap in those core Sinaloa cartel areas, but they definitely overlap with everything else. The Juarez cartel, out of Juarez, they each kind of have their dark kind of core areas you can see in the map, but ultimately,
I would be interested to see a global version of this map.
Some of the Mexican cartels have some footprint, into like Spain and down into Central and South America. But I mean, mostly, their footprint follows their drug routes.
Well, and North America. I'd be
North America.
Which of these overlap into which parts of both the U.S. and Canada, because the cartels do operate in Canada now.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at some of these videos here. I guess you could call it war porn, but hey, it is what it is. So this is some aerial, I think we're out of order.
I have no idea what just happened.
I
was opening the video and tried to full screen it, and then that happened.
Yeah. So essentially what you have here are you see the guys in the back of that technical right there, or, the armored vehicle, they're firing on the other one. And you can see the sparks from where the bullets are kind of hitting the steel. It looks like there's probably like a 50 cal sniper rifle in the back of that. Right there. That looks like a 50 cal sniper rifle shot. Yeah.
It was a pretty good rifle fire. So.
Yeah. So it looked like just from the, the muzzle blast there. It looked pretty solid here. Let's see. I'm just trying to see. So this is another one. So this guy is disabled. You can see just pause it right there. There was an impact of one of these grenades kind of on the. Why does it keep opening that up?
That's a great question that I can't figure out, and it's driving me insane.
Can you block that page?
Potentially.
Where are you getting that video from? Is that one of the links that I shared?
Yeah, it is. I'm going to refresh it. I think it's just something bugged on the page.
All right.
Yeah, it was just bugged. There we go.
I can. Oh, I know it is. If you click on the video, it acts as a link.
So
you just gotta hover over the control device on the line. So go down like on the line there. You can drag it.
So okay, I've also got a peripheral that'll let me do this. I just got to remember to use it.
All right, just pause it right here. So you see right there on the kind of the right side of the vehicle next to the porthole windows. Yeah, right there. It was where one of those things, those little grenades dropped on it. You can see it's peppered with spalling or shrapnel. And so this vehicle's been disabled. It's being attacked by a bomber drone, which is pretty sophisticated. So go ahead and push play. And if you look on the back, Joe, do you see the circular turret? So it basically has an articulated turret that can probably go at least 270 degrees in rotation. So this other vehicle, I think they call them monsters or something like that. This other monster pushes that one out of the engagement area.
Push through. Heard that radio call a time or two.
It looks to me like they either hit a mine or an explosive went off.
No, it was another one of the drone drops on them. This drone dropper seems to have multiple bombs in it, so you can see the turret in the back rotating too. So I think I just thought that was kind of interesting, the design of this vehicle. And this is obviously a CJNG vehicle because it's got it painted there on the.
What's interesting that they have a vehicle identifier. That right there is a big indicator, right? That seems to be
that
they have vehicle numbers painted on them.
Looking up.
That tells you they have air assets they're using to target things too, and they're trying to avoid friendly fire.
Right. But if it's got a number on it, you can easily say, "Hey, number 90, there's a guy sneaking up to your 6 o'clock," or So the guy who's providing overwatch with the drone is able to then communicate directly with specific vehicles in order to coordinate. So that shows you a level of sophistication that. So here's some more just of some of the stuff that you're seeing out there. Let's see. Translate. Early morning, Culiacan was shaken up by an operation, dismantles an armed group, seizing heavy weapons and explosive with only one detained. How many more are there out there? More details and of course, it wants me to go to the link. Facebook narco blogger. Let me see where that goes. No. Doesn't really give a lot more, but Joe, there's some. I wouldn't say no to most of the weapons there. They got a saw, a couple of M16s, grenade launcher, stolen pickup trucks from America mostly. The one above that one, Watcher, I thought was interesting, and it's something worth us talking about for a second. The former foreign combatant.
I'm not. This one?
It's on the. No, that's the one above that one.
Guy Vermectin, the CCP is strongly behind the cartels, 100%.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the MSS isn't actually providing intel and training.
And helping them move weapons into there.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that, Joe, you and I talked about this, like literally in the early days of the war. This war drags on for a couple years, and what you're going to end up having are a ton of guys that are basically unemployable because they've been seeing so much action that they can't do normal stuff anymore, right? And so this guy is an example of that. He was a former foreign fighter in Ukraine for the Ukrainian army. One of the good guys, Joe. This guy was one of the good guys. Former foreign combatant of Ukraine army, reportedly joined CJNG in Michoacan. The gunman used a AK-74 rifle in Ukraine. Now he's got a SCAR, and a M240 and M2 machine gun. I'm guessing this kind of guy is he's probably a trainer as well. And if you don't think a guy like this isn't scared to kind of mix it up and can't do some real damage, I mean, you haven't been paying attention to what the hell's going on in that war.
Yeah.
The thing that's it's like he's just one guy, right? The problem is one guy brings all his TTPs back. And then all of a sudden you got 100 guys using lessons learned from Ukraine.
So I thought this too. Yes, Hunch, you did predict it. I thought this too when we saw the entire units made up of Colombian volunteers fighting in Ukraine. That's going to come back to haunt us at some point. And I believe member of the group Emeritus Duke of Montana pointed this out several times, and over on the Privy Council, that we're going to have a real problem when the Ukraine war ends and all of these little factions go back to their home countries and start raising chaos. So.
Well, and we saw some of the Antifa related guys who had been fighting in for Rojava, fighters move over to fight for Ukraine. So wait till those guys get back on the street in Portland and Seattle, and I bet some of them already have.
First of all, I'm not worried about this guy because he carries a SCAR, which means he has more money than brains. So,
I mean, no lies detected there, but all right. Anything else? Let's see. Yeah, we got the it's an old video, but I thought it was a good one where they were using the Barrett as against it looked like a helicopter, probably.
Yeah, that was back when they were fighting the government of Mexico because they arrested somebody and
right.
Yeah.
This was related to when they got El Chapo's son, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think this happened. We covered this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they don't use the weapons the way they're designed, but guess what? That doesn't mean that can't be very accurate.
Oh, and there was one designed for this. It's a little ergonomically different.
Let's see. All right, so
pull it up before we move on. It's this one.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's real weird.
We don't encourage bullpups here.
If you think that nobody would encourage this kind of behavior here in America, just listen to this.
Not for nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our people. And like, where you at? Bien calladitos, todos los chulitos. I'm like, dude, they're running amok all up on your streets and in your city. And Pete, when the big gang guns come in, nothing but like quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in, out here calling things out, trying to organize people, trying to do the thing. So don't be trying.
Boy, almost like that should tell you something.
Surely nobody would ever listen to this crazy drunk wine mom, right? Oh, wait a second. She's the assistant mayor or the vice mayor of Kudai City in southeast LA County. She's currently under FBI investigation after allegedly posting this video on social media in which she appears to call for 18th Street gang, Florencia 13 gang members in LA to defend their territory from ICE, even urging gang leaders to get your fucking members in order.
Ironman has issued a statement on this. We need to.
Yes, absolutely. OMG, I'm going to puke. Dear white people, I really am sorry about these moron brown folk. That's his words, not mine.
This woman is actually calling for. This right here meets the requirement of seditious conspiracy. She is talking to someone else and encouraging them to commit sedition, which is the armed resistance to the law, to law enforcement. So she should be arrested. She should be gone. But she feels comfortable as a vice mayor calling for the gangs to rise up in violence. That's the bigger problem, not her, but the fact that she felt comfortable enough to put this video out.
Well, it shouldn't surprise you that last month UCLA hired this lady as their new director of Principal Leadership Institute, describing her as a leader in education, equity, and social justice. The LA Times has previously endorsed her as the best pick for the LAUSD school board. I mean, Joe, it's like they're not even trying. All right. Lance Corporal veteran for $5. The cartel shut down the local airport to prevent the guys who got arrested from being taken away. That's right. Thank you for the reminder. They shot planes with 50 cal Barretts, even hit a few. Yeah, and I think they hit several on the ground as well. But
I say they hit most of those by luck, right? So.
If I remember correctly, they hit a commercial airliner that was landing. Let's see. TT Cook for $1 over in Rumble says, "Your people are American citizens. If you don't agree, get the fuck out."
Yeah, I mean, someone should just give her a ride, right?
I know, right? I'm heading down to San Ysidro if you wanna ride. We'll drop you off at the port of debarkation. All right. Anything else, guys, we need to talk about with the cartel stuff?
El Cartels, that's muy bad, yo. That's my Spanglish description.
I just reading this. I don't know if this is breaking or what, but SCOTUS hands Trump a landmark victory. Nationwide injunctions are dead.
Yeah, there's six rulings this morning. And weirdly, in that case, because of the way it came down, people should be aware of what's going to happen there, because people are celebrating as though the Supreme Court ruled on birthright citizenship. They did not. They specifically avoided that question. They merely said that the lower courts don't have the ability to issue nationwide injunctions on all of Trump's shit. Now, that means that currently any citizenships for people who are here illegally will not be issued. That doesn't mean that it can't be brought again in a different court in a different context and then allow them to actually get this nationwide injunction reinstated. Because that's not what.
Yeah, I'm just kind of reading through a little bit of this. Here, I'll show you the link so we can talk about this for a couple minutes.
There's supposed to be 6 cases dropped today. There's also a lot of fluttering in the circles of people who follow the Supreme Court that they are expecting Thomas and Alito to retire literally any day now.
Well, I tell you what, we got everything we need to put good ones in there. Let's hope Trump picks some good ones, because Thomas, man, we need to clone him.
I've just got Kavanaugh and Barrett stuck in my craw, and I'm telling you, I don't know that the man's capable.
I'm with you. I hope though he doesn't fucking listen to Ben Shapiro again on his, because he was the big, the mouthpiece that was absolutely pushing for Amy Coney Barrett. All right, let's see. What does this say? In Trump v. Casa, the Supreme Court.
The bubble. This is so vitally important. JRH asks, why does Joe hate everything great? Bullpups, cargo shorts, doomering over Chinese electronics. Listen, I'm going to break everyone's bubble. I need you all to listen to me. Bullpups are trans for guns.
Ooh, good call, Joe.
Hey.
I can sign off on that. I'll be honest with you. Here's my issue with bullpups, right? I think they look cool. Don't get me wrong. The problem is the triggers fucking suck. I've never shot a bullpup that had a trigger that I liked. I
don't know that L1, L7A1, whatever the Brits had wasn't bad on the trigger, but the problem is this: manual of arms. If I train with my bullpup, right. and I'm doing. I learned for some reason how to manipulate that magazine that way. What if I have to pick up somebody else's rifle? I now don't know the manual of arms for every other rifle on the planet. I have to find another bullpup. It makes more sense to have one standard format and stick with it.
This was Joe reading your response, by the way, just so you're aware.
Yeah, that was me.
So here's my take.
Bullpups are like communism. Both sound great on paper.
So I've always wanted to. I've never fired the X95. I fired the other one, the Tavor, which is basically the same thing, right? And yeah, I thought the trigger was not awesome on that, but it was better than the what is it, the Styrog. That one was garbage.
Yeah.
But it's not that I wouldn't own one. But I wouldn't use it for anything other than just kind of like taking to the range for fun. Like I said, I think some of them look cool, but
it is a little bit in the neighborhood of my buddies. Like I have a friend who's got an actual Thompson machine gun. And it's a little bit in the neighborhood of that, where it's like, yeah, it's a ton of fun. We like to take it to the range. Totally and completely impractical in literally any other context. Like it takes like 7 minutes to reload the drum magazine. The thing weighs like 40 pounds. Love it though.
Mexican bullpup equals Latinx rifle. Well done.
Well, so anyway, if you want to read this seems like a pretty good read here. I don't want to. I'll be honest with you. After reading about 3 paragraphs of this, I don't think I want to read it on. I don't want this to. I don't know enough about this shit.
I'm not sure why they put Amy Coney Barrett's picture on there. Someone's trying to raise her profile back to being good.
I think she might have written the concurring.
Yeah,
opinion. I don't know.
Writing in a 6-justice majority, Amy Coney Barrett drove a stake through the heart of the lawless judicial practice. Her opinion, grounded in the Judiciary Act of 1789 and the practices of English chancellery courts, affirms the Constitution framers long understood: judges are not emperors. Okay, all right. You have earned your food today, Amy Coney Barrett. Now get out there and do something else worthwhile.
Watch, read the note I just dropped.
I gotta find it. Hold on.
It's that last one right there. Yep.
The sad thing is
she's
the
pretty,
the sad thing is the range is the only appropriate place to take that thing. That's the sad thing. All right. Enough bullpup and enough of this. Let's move on, shall we?
Last thing on bullpups. Bullpups are for guys who like to hit it from behind instead of the front. I'm just throwing that out.
Damn, Joe, you're not giving them any room. Let's. Well, you've got the wrong one, Watcher. This is.
Huh?
Yeah. Check the notes again.
Oh.
We got no comment first.
Pancake face. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Up machete wielding TRANTIFA member face plants while trying to escape Portland riot. Face it. I know. It's
instant replay. That's too good.
Oh, let's watch it. I love the limp. Oh, boop. But don't worry. They have other angles too.
All right, because everybody was wearing a body cam, of course. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have this in like we have the Panopticon on this one. This is good.
You just kicked her. By the way, the her is a he.
Yeah, there's
and like
because you can't kick people. I mean,
that's right. You got to subdue them, right, Joe? I mean, it's whatever.
An unconscious protester. It was more than protesting. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Yes, I know that I often show up to protest with my protest machete, on which I write slogans.
Well, it's interesting. So there's a federal criminal complaint has been unsealed against the suspect. The details are incorporated in the article. On June 24th, a Portland TRANTIFA militant confronted federal agents outside an ICE facility with a machete before being tased and face planting to the ground while attempting to escape.
Unconscious. That means you can't arrest him. Oh, okay. That means if we just all fall unconscious, they can never arrest us. And by the way, what is with trying to use a yellow tote lid as a shield?
Well, okay, actually,
idea.
it's funny. It's funny you would bring that up. So they're doing this on purpose. From what I gather, they got too much heat for looking too organized because they had factories turning out like actual multi-layer tower shields during the 2020 riots. And so this time they're trying to go with purely improvised things. You know, like going to Costco and buying a pallet of just the yellow lids for those containers and then putting ropes through them. The best. But real quick, I just have to say, I think it was a very appropriate use of the word attempt to escape, because I think an attempt was made.
I like rolled over like 14 times.
I know. Just wrapping himself in the wire, the taser wire.
Oh.
Let's see. Julia McCullough Winters, a.k.a. Christopher Hudson, was held in county jail on federal holding pending charges. His case was unsealed on June 26. Court documents provide context to Winters' alleged violent criminal action before his arrest. I love the fact that Andy No does not like play the he/her game.
I have to prepare. Chat. You've only seen this from a distance. You need to prepare yourself for these close-ups.
Oh,
If you are of a weak constitution.
Yeah, if there are small children in the room, you're going to want them out.
At approximately 11:15 p.m., FPS officers observed an individual attempting to light an incendiary device next to the guard shack of the ICE building. This wrote an FBI agent in a criminal complaint. The individual was later identified as Julie Winters. Winters backed away from the guard shack towards the trolley track. FPS officer engaged Winters for attempting to light the incendiary device. As Winters reached the street, she reached into her backpack and pulled out a large knife, approximately 1 foot in length, with a curved blade. The affidavit says that Winters threw the blade towards the officer's head, but he was able to dodge it narrowly. Video shown above captured Winters hurling something at an officer. Other videos captured after Winters' arrest show federal agents returning to the area, which is directly adjacent to an elementary school, to search for evidence on the ground and in the bushes. Affidavit says the officers were able to find the machete. And so they've got from the complaint here with the clips, I guess it wasn't really a machete. It was more of like a carving knife or something, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Winters was only 5 to 10 feet away from the officer when he threw the knife at the officers. Winters began to run away, and the officer deployed a taser. Hell yeah, he did. Winters was immobilized. Winters continued to resist and was reaching towards his waist when the officers were attempting to place Winters in custody. One officer saw Winters grab another knife, and the officer kicked the knife away from Winters. The officer described the additional knife as a kitchen butcher knife. The incident occurred as Antifa continued over 3 weeks of nightly attacks on the local ICE facility.
Pinochet got tased so bad their physical face structure changed. Yes.
Kevin Dorr for $2 says, "What is our new FBI leadership doing about Antifa?" I'll be honest with you; they're being fairly aggressive on the ground in Portland.
The FBI is not. That is not the FBI.
That's
right. The feds
declare this a terrorist organization.
Exactly
and be
right.
Done with it.
The FBI is doing the same thing the FBI did before, which is nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yes.
They're just doing it twice as fast. So,
talk about catfish. Look at these pictures here. Like, all right, airbrush to hell and all this kind of stuff. But then you see the reality. It's like, this is the Tinder picture or the Grinder picture, and then this is the reality.
I'm Julie. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Julie Winters.
Oh, my name is Julie. Whoa.
Oh, gross. Violence is not new to Winters. The 250-pound man has a separate open felony assault on an officer stemming from a violent incident in December of 2024. His face photo shown at the top of the article is from that time. Oregon allows one's identification documents to be based on self-identification, so he is currently booked in the jail as a female. Gross. Ugh. Don't scroll down any further. Winter's social media is filled with far-left political posts expressing hatred of law enforcement, Trump supporters during the deadly 2020 BLM Antifa riots. He also posted radical anti-police commentary.
You have no idea how much Scott cares for you.
Listen, I can't fault for that because I promote radical anti-police ideology. So I'm just saying.
Not quite this radical, although this one's
not the same.
Not in the same vein as this. Joe does not advocate the tossing of machetes at federal law.
Yeah, those are silly weapons to throw.
I will also say, now having seen all 3 of the knives that this person brought to this protest, they either robbed a commercial kitchen on their way there or worked in a commercial kitchen and robbed it on their way out.
They will likely work as a cook and took them. But, and I know everyone likes to laugh at them, and we laughed at the video too, but understand this, that person bought multiple knives to a protest. That tells you the intent for violence was there and the risk level is up.
All right.
And what I want to see though is federal government stop playing these games. Don't book him as Julie Winters. Book him as Chris Hudson, because that's his name. I'm reminded of the line from the great movie Coming to America. They were talking about Muhammad Ali, and he said his mama called him Cassius. I'm gonna call him Cassius. Right? Your name is your name. You don't get to just pick one.
Let's see. So the next one we have is more TRANTIFA threats against police. This one is a woman who thinks she's a man or a bull. I can't decide with the nose ring.
You can just kill ICE agents. You know that? You can just kill them. You don't have to hold your phone in their face and ask people when their birthday is and ask people what their name is and then try to find wherever they end up in Los Angeles. You can kill them. This isn't about social media clout anymore. This isn't about video. This isn't about the phone. This is about get a gun and start killing ICE agents. They are deputized corrections officers. Kill them.
I'm sorry, I cannot take you seriously on the basis of your voice alone.
Yeah, trans TikTok user Redacted Radical posted a video last night telling users to kill ICE agents. She says this isn't about clout anymore.
Right?
What's that?
Of course, it says free Khalil on his profile,
Oh, yeah.
who has already been freed. But whatever.
And yes, by the way, this is a woman pretending to be a man, cosplaying as a man. Gross. So yeah, once again, don't go any further down, Watcher.
Yeah. I think people need to come to grips with the fact that there are an entire group of people that have been radicalized to such a degree that they don't have an ability to go back to real life. They have been medically altered for this explicit purpose of forcing them into the position of either being 100% radicals their entire life or crawling in a hole and dying, essentially.
Yeah, the way you got to think of this is like, it's like if you were delusional and you thought you were Napoleon and there was an entire industry not only designed to affirm the fact that you are Napoleon, but also surgically alter you into something, like some kind of a disgusting parody of Napoleon. That's what these people are going through. So of course they're already delusional. Everything else just builds upon their fantasy.
Yeah. Hey, Captain Corgi makes a point. He wrote an article on this subject yesterday. I want to point out that means bullying works. If you recall in the last episode, we bullied Captain Corgi to get back to writing at Corgi Actual on Substack. And
that's right.
Did.
I thought I saw.
And he did. So
I if you could tee that up, I'd like to share that so that we get some. Lance Corporal Veteran for $10 says it's not that the feds can't do anything about Antifa; it's that they suffer from ideological subversion. Yeah, you're 100% right. And most Antifa work as loose confederacy, so feds would need to construct a web of connections.
I will counteract that and say that the feds were handed that web of connections by multiple different people in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. That's bullshit. They have that web. It's been constructed by independent researchers. It was handed to them, literally, like hand delivered. No, they have it. They choose not to act on it.
If you were ever wondering if there is if it's not just the leadership, if it's if there are if there are also rank and file who are playing for the other team, yes. I mean, this should just kind of yes. Wait, so I'm not Napoleon.
All right.
I tell you what, brother, you keep everybody in memberships over in Rumble, and you can be whatever the hell you want. Lance Corporal Veteran for $2 says, hence the ideological subversion. That's exactly right. All right.
I just dropped that link for you there. Yeah. There you go.
Let's
I was going to say we were going to finish strong with the first super chat of the show in answer to it, but yeah, here's the Substack you guys need to get on.
Yeah, let me look at that one first here. All right, so this is Well Armed Corgi's Corgi Actual newsletter. I will subscribe later. Let's see. That is a wall of text, my friend. You need some paragraphs.
Yeah.
But I like your image is excellent. Let's see. I'll read the first couple sentences here. As we come into the Independence Day holiday, I think it's important you, as a reader of this particular blog, realize something. If you look at the events taking place throughout the country, the outright rebellion against the enforcement of immigration law, the election of openly socialist candidates into, you're being too nice. Don't call them socialists, call them Marxists, because that's what they are. Candidates into positions of power under the promise of rebelling against the federal government, the violent and riotous insurrection happening across American cities, there's an inescapable conclusion to be drawn, and that it currently stands. The clock for America as we've known it, the America that we've grown up with, is ticking to a close. I agree with that. That's a good thesis for a strong peace. And that should also be the beginning of your next paragraph. Right there. All right. So definitely go and subscribe to Corgi's. Yeah, right there is the link. Check it out. Now, the very first super chat, if I remember correctly,
was
I guess
about
it was
convince
Rumble.
my dad. Yeah, convince my dad to leave New York. Hopefully he's still watching.
All right. Going back to Squishy Hunter for $5. All right, I know Squishy Hunter is a regular, so he will hear this. So even if they're not watching live, they'll be able to bring this to his father-in-law's ears. Now, he said, this, going back to the super chat, he says, my father-in-law is listening. Please advise him to get the fuck out of New York City ASAP. Get the fuck out ASAP. If you want to know why, let me refer you to this next segment. This is and Magazine. This is another Substack. Welcome from Sam Faddis. Welcome to Crazy Town. New York commits political suicide. We have all had the experience. You have a friend or relative. He or she has a serious problem. Booze, drugs. See, he's going to make the exact same analogy that we made earlier. Their life is going down the tubes. Everyone knows it. They should take a hard look in the mirror and change course. Instead, they double down, open another bottle, and head for the bottom. Witness New York. Zohan Madman, barring a miracle in the general election in the fall, will be the next mayor of New York City. He's a radical Muslim. He's also a communist. Joe, let me ask you a question. Do you think that those are ultimately incompatible?
What, communism and Islam?
Yeah.
Islam uses communism as a tool, and it's actually Marxism, not necessarily communism. Islam uses it as a tool and camouflage, but they are actually very similar because everyone's equal, just some people are a little more equal. And that I think they are compatible, but you have to kill everyone first for it to work.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. Like, I think they use it as a tool to basically disarm their opponents and get their opponents right where they want them, and then they basically slough off the commie cloak and don the hat of their true belief, which is, political Islam, and then let the real fun begin.
All Islam is political. They'll lie to you and say it is not, but that is not true.
All right. Mad May says he wants free public transit. Let me go back up. I skipped the spot. Mad May says he wants to fight rising grocery prices by opening city and state-run grocery stores, at which prices will be controlled by the government. These stores will pay no rent, pay no property taxes, buy and sell at wholesale prices from centralized warehouses, and partner with local vendors to keep prices down. Government stores were a tremendous success in the Soviet Union. They should be great in New York City. All right, gentlemen. I want to take these one at a time. Why they won't work? It's pretty easy. So you get a grocery store. You open it up. It's it doesn't have to be super nice. It's just a grocery store, right? And it's going to have all the cheap shit that at wholesale prices. And, it doesn't have any of the overhead, because it doesn't pay taxes and all that kind of stuff. So what's going to happen on day one?
Well, what's going to happen on day one? Well, first of all, everyone's going to steal everything. And two, it's never going to, it's just not going to work. Let me just say that. It's not going to work.
I know it's not going to work. And let me explain why it's not going to work. Let's give them the best possible case scenario, right? This is the best possible case. Let's say nobody steals anything, right? And people just show up to buy things because it's cheap, right? What happens when everybody shows and wants to buy all the cheap stuff? Well, they buy all the cheap stuff, and then it's empty, just like what you see here.
Yeah, and they're not going to be able to buy any more because they don't have any money.
Look, it's amazing that he said he literally was trying to pull out Soviet grocery stores. There's videos upon videos, hundreds of hours, displaying the absolute fucking failure, the utter abysmal, inarguable failure of the Soviet food distribution system.
There's two things that always come when you have price controls, right? So like this happened during when they had the Carter era gas price controls. You end up having an inelastic supply, and you have to do rationing because the market won't allow you have to ration it. So hey, you can only buy 4 gallons of gas, right? Oh, by the way, you're going to have to wait for it because we
don't have
too much. There's too much demand, right? Like gas should be $1 a gallon, but it's only 20 cents a gallon here. So everybody wants to come here and to buy the gas, and or we only have so much, right? And it doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. All right, so moving on. He says he wants free public transportation. No word on where the money will come from. That's exactly right. And what happens?
Somebody has to
the
put
government
gas in those vehicles. The drivers have to be paid. The only way to do this is taxes.
That's right. He plans to create the Department of Community Safety. This is a return to defund the police policies that worked so well in cities around the country before. Instead of giving law enforcement more support, he will channel money into mental health programs and crisis response, expanding evidence-based gun violence prevention programs and increasing funding to hate violence prevention programs by 800%. He says the city will offer free childcare for every New Yorker aged 6 weeks to 5 years. He will distribute baby baskets to parents of newborns, including items like diapers, baby wipes, nursing pads, postpartum pads. Who's going to pay for all this shit? He says that he will raise New York City's minimum wage to $30, in which all stores will then close. Madman will resist Trump by strengthening sanctuary city protections for the illegals and ending cooperation with ICE. ICE agents will be barred from city facilities. No data will be shared with the ICE by New York City. During his campaign, he attempted to justify the use of the phrase "globalize the Intifada" that he has used repeatedly in the past and stayed firm to support this Palestinian-led boycott, the BDS efforts against Israel, calling it a legitimate movement. In the past, he has called for defunding the police and eliminating the prison system. We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need is to defund the police. No fake cuts. Defund the police. You know what I want? I want him to basically shut down the NYPD, and I want every one of those NYPD officers to be fired and force them to go work for police at a higher rate in Florida. Let's see. We call for the nationalization of businesses like railroads, utilities, and critical manufacturing and technology companies. Oh, ho, ho, ho. How do you think that would work? I mean, the government's not even good at being the government. How are they going to be good at doing anything else? Like, we're like.
Yeah, not going to work.
Lance Corporal veteran for $5. Look up videos of Cuba or a similar country. Imagine rows of single item shelves. Strangely, the booze is plentiful in limited brands. Yeah. Let's see. New York is a disaster. Subways are mental institutions. What?
He's a 12-er too.
Oh, this guy's a 12-er?
Yeah.
The Zohan guy?
What about him?
Of course.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I don't even want to read any more about this guy. What a fucking piece of work this guy is. Gentlemen. What do you guys got going on this weekend?
I'm doing more More traveling around with family, looking at some of the sites.
Should be a lot of fun. I mean, you got a lot of great stuff just right there to check out.
Yep.
Did you give the nickel tour of the camp and everything?
Oh yeah, complete with jail cells and all that jazz.
That's awesome.
Let them know that, hey, this could happen to you.
I just want to if K9 Reaper hears this, I just want to let him know that I was rewatching the best South Africa documentary ever again recently.
What, Don?
District 9.
Oh, District 9. I have to watch that.
You haven't watched it?
No.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, Joe, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I watched it before I knew anything about South Africa, so that was fun. As far as me this weekend, I have an unbelievable amount of work to do, and then nature keeps adding more. The buildings that I manage have large empty lots that are supposed to be graveled to prevent weeds from coming up, but that was effective until like 4 years ago. And then we just got our big summer rain, so now all the previously very small weeds that were ignorable size are waist height, and I get to go cut them all down.
Nice.
You know, if you're a backer of Doorkickers, we should have some.
There is exciting news. Yeah,
we should have some images for you here in the near future.
So I have I think I have all the books. I still have to pop open the boxes and check them, because there were a couple that were like, why is this box so small? But once I get all those checks done, Monday, Tuesday time period should be when orders that are just the book and just like the book and maybe one or two other stickers go out. The more heavy volume stuff that's heavy packed is going to go out probably later this next week. I guess Wednesday, Thursday.
So I don't think we're ready to ship yet, but I just want to make sure people see that the books are real and they exist. So I just want to make sure we get some pictures out to the folks.
I think if you just bought the single book cover, if you just bought any of the single book packages or the packages that were just the 3 covers, we can ship those, right? No? Okay, maybe not.
All right. Yes.
I got to roll.
All right, Joe. We'll see you, brother. Thank you for being here. Chat, you guys are doing awesome today. Thank you so much. Watcher, and Joe, you guys absolutely help out in huge ways. So thank you for all that you did today. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to the channel, either on Rumble or YouTube. Hit the bell for notification. Like the video. That really helps and kind of plucks it out there. Hit the bell for notification, and tell your friends about the Council for Future Conflicts. You're getting some good stuff, and you're hearing about stories that you're not hearing anywhere else. I'm just here to tell you, the cartel thing is a big deal, and nobody's fucking talking about it. So keep that in mind. All right, that's all I got. As always, stay safe.